Seeds of Wisdom RV and Economic Updates Friday afternoon, January 24, 25. Listen to the full version on the official dinarreport.com website and become our supporter on Patreon. Good afternoon. Dinar recaps. Ripple CEO sparks speculation over XRP and U.S. strategic reserve. Black Small Square. President Trump signed an executive order creating the Presidential Working Group on Digital Asset Markets, led by venture capitalist David Sachs, to explore the establishment of a strategic national digital asset stockpile. Black Small Square. While many anticipated that the National Reserve would primarily consist of Bitcoin, discussions about including Ripple have surfaced, sparking mixed reactions within the crypto community. Just 3 days into his presidency, President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Thursday to explore creating a national digital asset stockpile. While many Bitcoin advocates had hoped for swift action to establish a Bitcoin-only reserve, the order instead focused on the feasibility of a broader national reserve of digital assets. The executive order also established a Presidential Working Group on Digital Asset Markets, led by venture capitalist David Sachs. The group includes high-profile officials, such as the Treasury Secretary, the Attorney General, and the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. Their mission is to craft a comprehensive federal strategy for regulating cryptocurrencies and stablecoins, laying the groundwork for the U.S. government's approach to digital finance. Currently, the U.S. government holds $21 billion worth of crypto assets, primarily Bitcoin. This includes 69,370 Bitcoins, set to be auctioned by the U.S. Marshals at the end of 2024. However, discussions about diversifying the reserve to include additional cryptocurrencies have ignited debates within the crypto community. Ripple pushes for inclusion in the reserve. Reports suggest the Trump administration may prioritize U.S.-founded crypto assets like Ripple, XRP, Solana, Sol, and USDC for the proposed reserve. Ripple's $5 million donation to Trump's inauguration and ongoing dialogue with policymakers have added to speculation about the company's influence on the administration's crypto policies. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse and Chief Legal Officer Stuart Alderoty have reportedly met with President Trump and his advisors to advocate for XRP's inclusion in the reserve. Garlinghouse highlighted that Ripple's mission aligns with the administration's vision of supporting American innovation and businesses. In interviews, Garlinghouse has emphasized that a diversified reserve of digital assets would strengthen the U.S.'s competitive edge in the global crypto landscape. A strategic reserve that combines Bitcoin with other technologies would make sense from both an innovation and a national security standpoint, he argued. Not everyone supports expanding the reserve beyond Bitcoin. Pierre Rockard, VP of Research at Bitcoin mining firm Riot Platforms, criticized the potential inclusion of XRP. He claimed Ripple's lobbying efforts aim to divert attention from Bitcoin, undermining Trump's campaign commitments to ban central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, and prioritize a Bitcoin-only reserve. The biggest obstacle for the strategic Bitcoin reserve is not the Fed, Treasury, or banks, it's Ripple, XRP, Rockard stated, underscoring his belief that Bitcoin should remain the sole asset in any national crypto reserve. The idea of a diversified digital asset stockpile has sparked discussions across the crypto industry. Scott Melker, host of the Wolf of All Streets podcast, shared rumors that the reserve could include both Bitcoin and XRP. While acknowledging the speculative nature of these claims, Melker indicated that his sources were credible. At press time, Bitcoin was trading at $105,380 after increasing by 3.62% in the last 24 hours and by 3.60% over the past week. Trump Exec Order Digital Assets Working Group. Fed not invited. Yesterday, the White House published President Trump's executive order on digital financial technology. It creates a digital asset working group, which will be responsible for proposing federal regulatory framework within 6 months. White House AI and crypto czar David Sachs will chair the group, which consists of the heads of 11 government agencies. That includes the Treasury Secretary, Commerce Secretary, SEC Chair and CFTC Chair. Despite the regulations covering stablecoin payments, the Federal Reserve and other banking regulators are not included. However, there is a caveat that the chair can invite other agencies that have relevant expertise. While the executive order includes evaluating the potential for creating a national digital asset stockpile, it states this will likely come from asset seizures. The key actions of the executive order are to Black small square allow access to public blockchains, for people to participate in validating transactions, and preserving self-custody of digital assets. Black small square enhance U.S. sovereignty by promoting lawful dollar-backed stablecoins worldwide. Black small square protect access to banking services for all. Black small square provide regulatory clarity for digital assets based on technology-neutral regulation. Black small square prohibit the issuance of a CBDC. Additionally, the new order revokes President Biden's Digital Assets Executive Order and the Treasury's framework for international engagement on digital assets. The latter covered quite a bit of ground, with a substantial proportion relating to CBDC. It also involved working with the Financial Stability Board on digital assets. The latter covered quite a bit of ground, with a substantial proportion relating to CBDC. It also involved working with the Financial Stability Board on digital assets, AML with FATF, and OECD work on crypto tax, amongst others. Stablecoins in, banks out? Apart from excluding banking regulators from the working group which covers stablecoin payments, it remains to be seen how wide the CBDC ban is. On the stablecoin regulation front, the previous administration pushed for the Federal Reserve to be given a central role in approving stablecoins under draft regulations. Excluding the Fed from the working group is a big step in the opposite direction. Sidestepping banking regulators is likely a backlash. They are viewed as obstructing the crypto sector through debanking, and there was pushback about the shutting down of Signature Bank by the FDIC. Digital Asset Bank Custodia has been repeatedly refused membership of the Federal Reserve System. That said, the FDIC now has a Republican acting chair. Banks have also been slowed from engaging with blockchain and DLT. For example, the USDF Consortium for Interbank DLT Payments has not yet launched. Even though it moved from a permissionless to a private blockchain. That's apart from the many banks that were blocked from offering crypto to clients. No wholesale CBDC? Regarding CBDC, the ban does not distinguish between retail and wholesale CBDC. Unlike a retail CBDC where there are valid privacy concerns, even with the best of intentions, a wholesale CBDC is designed for interbank settlement only. The Federal Reserve already explored differences between a wholesale CBDC versus tokenizing existing central bank reserves. Either of these would support banks engaging with blockchain, particularly for tokenized deposits, securities settlement, and cross-border payments. The lack of wholesale CBDCs has slowed bank adoption of DLT around the world. Recently, the European Central Bank ran DLT trials for wholesale settlement using central bank money, which encouraged numerous, real, digital bond issuances. 64 institutions took part in more than 40 trials and experiments. The New York Innovation Center, NYIC, at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York has been involved, purely for research, in Project Agora, which aims to make cross-border payments via correspondent banking faster and cheaper. Agora uses tokenization and is led by the Bank for International Settlements, BIS. 7 central banks and more than 40 private sector firms are involved, with most of the central banks providing a trial wholesale CBDC for interbank settlement. Without the dollar, that would leave a large gap for an international payments network. The purpose of using central bank money for institutional settlement is to reduce payment risks. As a fallback, a private institution could tokenize the reserves held by multiple banks in an omnibus account at the central bank. From a risk perspective, it's not quite as optimal because there is always the risk of failure of the company, even if it is designed to be bankrupt remote. In the UK, Finality has taken this approach. If the Fed itself is blocked from tokenizing reserves, Finality's US expansion plans could be looking rosier. Listen to the full version on the official dinarreport.com website and become our supporter on Patreon. Source: Dinar Recaps.